Hello, everybody. See, I got it right the first time. Sometimes I can do that. Sometimes I'm awesome at my job. Today's one of those days. For a minute, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So how is everybody today? I think I said hi to everybody who popped up in chat, but if I missed you, hello. And I'm super excited that you're here hanging out with me today. So we are, let's see, yeah. Let's jump over here for a second. We're set up for demos and we're gonna watch the, I think I called it Mysterious Autumn. I don't even know. We're gonna watch that video and we can jump ahead on parts if you guys, if there's parts that you wanna watch where you have questions about more than others, then let me know and we can jump ahead. We can bounce around however you want to. And I'm going to say hello to Ezgi, but if I said that wrong, please feel free to yell at me and tell me exactly how to pronounce it. All right, so if you've never been to a jam session before, basically we are gonna watch the video just kind of like this. And if you have, I'm gonna keep it kind of turned down. So I know you won't be able to hear real well, but it's kind of, just to give us talking points, because you can still watch the regular video. And I said it right? Yes, good job. So I've seen a lot of you guys already starting on this painting, and I've seen a couple done, and you guys are rocking it. As always, feel free to share any of them on Discord. If you're not signed up for the Discord yet, I highly recommend it because we have super, super fun. I'll post the Discord and the discount coupon information in Patreon in the next day. Well, tonight or tomorrow for those of you who are new. And then you can all get in there. Okay, so as we go along today, feel free to yell at me if you have a question about something in particular. Pat says, I left a lot of texture. Is that going to kill my fingers? It shouldn't. Especially as you start building a layer, it's going to round it off a little bit. I had one or two that had quite a bit of texture and it was fine. If it's something super spiky, yeah, maybe, but those little peaks will probably break off as you swipe over top of them too. And I don't know why, but I'm seeing a mention of Mystery Science Theater 3000 in chat, and that is, I just want to jump in there and say that that's one of my favorites. Vince and I have seen a couple of the riff tracks live in the theater, and we watch MST3K or riff tracks almost every single night. So that's what kind of nerd I am. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. If I'm not answering your question, I may not be seeing it, please put it all in caps. And if you need a demo on anything, just let me know and we can do that. Oh yeah, and we're gonna go see MST3K in Salt Lake in February. Yep, all the cool people like MST3K and riff tracks. Oh, hello, Benty, and anyone else I missed? Let me see. Clarissa, hello. Sharon. Rhonda, hello.
It's basically a little sheet of styrofoam with paper on each side. And you can pick one of these up probably at any...
Has anybody done this process, the framing process, adding it to a foam core or any other kind of surface? Pat, so MST3K, they play like old bad movies and then they just basically sit and watch the movie and make fun of it, and it's pretty hilarious. Lindsay plans on it but hasn't done it yet. Not yet. Be a little creative when you're thinking about how you can mount these. You know, another option you have actually is to, instead of like throwing out the glass that comes with your frame, is mount it to the glass. You could use the glass as the structure for behind the canvas. Also, you guys have seen those canvases that are like, it's a wood canvas. It looks like a wood box. You can buy them at like Blick, and I think I've seen them at Michael's before. You can mount them on that. I did one on that. You could do this on a stretched canvas. So if you have a stretched canvas that you don't plan on using, you can put the gel down on that and lay this canvas sheet on top of that. Good, Sharon. I'm glad that that was helpful. The canvas pads are so much fun, and I like that you can, you know, if you don't plan on framing it right away, you can just tear it out, roll it up, and, you know, maybe put a piece of tape or a rubber band very, very loosely around it, and you can store it like that, or you can store them flat, or you can leave them in the pad, whatever you like. I don't think you'd break the glass, Tammy, but you could always do it afterwards too if that's a concern. Just leave it in the pad and then frame it afterwards. I only showed doing this before painting it because I figured there would be questions about whether you could do that. I figured everyone would assume that you could paint it and then frame it, but yeah, you can do it in any order you want. You don't have to mount it and then paint it. You can paint it and then mount it. The gel medium I used is the Utrecht gloss medium. So I bought that one because it's quite thin. It's almost runny, and it was super cheap for a big, huge tub of it rather than buying the Liquitex version, which is, you know, a much smaller tub for the same or even more cost. That and the Liquitex gel is much firmer, so I figured I would have a harder time spreading it. But you could even use matte medium here. I mean, you'd go through a lot of it. Pouring medium, if you guys have pouring medium laying around, you could use the pouring medium too. So long as it's made specifically for art, you can use it. Yeah, Mickey, you can mount it after you paint it, absolutely. I do that. Actually, that's typically what I do. Hello, Debbie, welcome. Hello, Asen. I didn't see you there. You can only listen, Debbie. Why? Yeah, Tammy, the Liquitex gel is perfectly fine. Like I just said, I just bought the other one because it was cheap. And I could get a large amount of it for, you know, not a lot of cost. But I've used the Liquitex one before. There's nothing wrong with that. Esge, absolutely. You can do it without the texture. The texture is my personal preference. I really like being able to see how the texture catches the paint and, you know, suggests other textures and suggests different elements in the painting, gives little peeps of the underpainting showing, but yeah, you don't have to use the texture. There's nothing about any of this process that you are required to do. The only thing I'm going to say don't do absolutely is don't use Mod Podge to glue down the canvas, and don't put the painting behind glass. That's it. Other than that, there's not a single thing about any of this process you're required to do. Debbie, it's not you. It's Apple products, the iPhone, the iPad. They are tricky with YouTube. There's a tiny little button that lets you into chat, and if you don't know where it is, then it's like chat doesn't even exist. But once you figure out where that is, then you can get in. So everybody who uses Apple products, I believe, goes through that. So talk to Eileen, like she said, and she'll help you out, and then you won't have an issue. Eileen, actually, maybe you can, if you can tell me in chat how people on the iPhone or the iPad can access chat, then I can tell that out loud, because I bet there's people watching right now who can't get into chat because of that. Mickey, absolutely. Yeah, any of those gels you can use to glue down the canvas sheet onto your surface, for sure.
While those things would certainly work to stick it down, I would say no, because long term, those are not going to hold well. They may discolor. They're not meant for art. So I think
One thing I noticed with, hello Barbara, with framing these is no matter how much I spread it, I had little bubbles, little, like lumpy bits on the canvas where the gel was afterwards. But the weird thing about that is after it was dry and I used my spray varnish, it flattened all of that out. So that was kind of weird. I even had on one a couple of fairly large air bubbles because I wasn't paying attention apparently. And the spray varnish in it like flattened out. So that was really strange. So if you do this and you have those little bubbles, just give it a good coat of spray varnish and that should flatten it out. Okay. So Eileen says, if you're having a hard time getting in chat and you're using an Apple product, you have to get to this event through the email that comes, not through the Patreon website. So when I make a post, you get an email from Patreon. Use that link to get to here. Use the blue email icon, not the red one. Then you get the YouTube screen. At the top right, drag down your finger until it gives you a button. To open the YouTube app, and you click on open, a new screen will appear and it will have chat. If anyone needs more help, message Eileen and she can help you and can send you screenshots. And you can even message Eileen on Discord if you want to jump on Discord and just tag Eileen and say, hey, I'm having trouble. Or anyone else who has had the problem and now has it fixed, they can help you out there. Thank you very much, Eileen. I appreciate that. But all you guys who watch but can never get to chat, we'll get it figured out. We'll get you in here. Hello, Sue. Welcome. Did anybody else use different mediums for this, for the texture? So I buy cadmium-free paint. Ezgi asked if I would use cadmiums in this paint, and is it okay to use it with the hands? So I guess that's a subject of debate, but everything I've heard says that cadmium cannot be absorbed through your skin. It's dangerous in the dry form when you can potentially inhale it. So like if you paint a canvas with cadmium paint and then you sand it, you could potentially breathe that in. That would be dangerous. But I buy the cadmium-free paint, so that's not an issue. I imagine there may be some materials I probably shouldn't be touching, but I don't know. If you're concerned about it, you can always wear gloves. I maybe should be concerned about it, but I guess I'm not. Yeah, for sure don't eat it. I mean, that's just common sense. But yeah, I know that you could try it with gloves. I would try it with like what are those purple gloves? Neoprene or whatever. Somebody in chat when this video aired, she's like, oh, I'll use my dishwashing gloves. I was like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. But yeah, Debbie, it does make the cleanup pretty darn quick, doesn't it? Just wash your hands and you're done. Yeah, Tammy, that's a good point. The website for whatever brand of paint you're using, whether it's Liquitex or Apple Barrel or whatever, they should have the I think it's MSDI, something like that. The information on their website that tells you about the toxicity of the paint. So you can always read that if you're concerned, and, you know, put aside the paints that you feel are toxic, and use the ones that are maybe a little bit safer. MSDS, thank you. Yeah, material safety data sheets. Sherelle, you can use any color you want. There's not, you know, like I said, there's not a color that you have to use. Use whatever stands out to you, whatever you've got and makes you happy. I understand that, Lindsay. I know that, you know, finger painting isn't something that comes natural to a lot of people. And some people kind of have a knee-jerk, like, ugh, reaction to it. And some people will never get beyond that, and that's fine. You know, I think it's good to step outside of your comfort zone sometimes, but by all means, I don't mean that you all have to throw your paintbrushes away and never do anything but this. Yeah, phthalo, sap, absolutely. Esgay, I hope that's a joke that you drank Floaid. Yeah, and I have seen the Iris Scott paintings where she does like the little finger daubs and everything. She does pretty cool stuff. She's also sponsored by Fredericks, so I see a lot of her stuff. I know, Debbie, right? I was thinking about that. You know, how do I sell brushes if I'm finger painting? But I gotta follow my muse where it goes, no matter the cost, right? I think Viridian is, I want to say it's like a mix between phthalo green and phthalo blue, but then at the same time, now I think maybe it's not, it doesn't have the tinting strength quite that phthalo green does. Phthalo green is like, if you just look at it from across the room, it stains everything. And I don't think Viridian's quite that strong. Good, Debbie. I'm glad you're moving away from the cringe factor with finger painting. That's funny, Debbie, or Tammy, sorry, because occasionally I'll use my left hand when I'm finger painting. So whatever's more comfortable. Eileen, I have no idea. I'm still recovering from the last art stroll. I'm not even thinking about the next one at all. Gloveless fingers? What is that, Rhonda? Like a mitten? Like where it just covers and then your thumb? Did you have a hard time spreading the paint, Lindsay? Because sometimes if you don't use the water, the paint kind of and it sticks, and then you're like, which is cool. You can get some good looks out of that, some really unique textures and stuff. So I try and do a little bit of both. You know, sometimes use the water, sometimes use less of the water. Hello, Wellen. Which painting did you do last night? This one here that we're watching? I would love to see how it turned out. Thank you. Oh yeah, my mom rocked this painting, you guys. You should go into Instagram and find it. It looks so good. Mom, did you sign up for Discord? You could post it there too. I'll go look well and make sure that I saw it. How long did this one take me with drying in between? I worked on it most of the day. You know, the actual painting time was pretty much what you see here. But because of the drying time and my distraction time, because I easily get distracted, it took me most of the day. That, and there's framing and everything. So sometimes I'll bust one of these paintings out in, you know, an hour or two, but sometimes I'll work on it for a couple of days. Just depends on how the inspiration is striking at the moment. You're not signed up for Discord yet, Debbie? Yeah, you should. It's fun. And it's totally private. It's just us. And you can share anything. There's always someone to chat with.
I really feel like this is probably the most fulfilled I've felt in painting in a very, very long time. This process is, it's very freeing to me.
Debbie, I'll post the information about Discord and everything later today again. I'm going to try and post that information once a month so that everybody who's new can, you know, jump in there too.
So it was obviously a struggle. So anything, rubbing it in there, but I'm not losing any of that.
When was the first time I used this technique over a medium? I don't really know because I've always liked textured grounds. It's not something I do a lot in videos just because it's kind of, you know, just an extra step that's not really required. And then everybody asks, do I have to do that? Do I have to do that? Even if I say, you don't have to do this. So if I say, you don't have to do this, there's kind of no reason to do it. So I don't do it a lot in videos, but I do it a lot personally. And then painting with my hands is just something that kind of comes natural to me. So I don't really know. I've done it on and off, probably always. But, you know, doing a whole painting like that, I did one a couple of years ago and then didn't really do it again on that scale until recently.
So I know it looks like I'm drying it with the blow dryer and then immediately painting again, but a lot of times I wasn't. And I would hit it with the blow dryer.
Oh, is it quiet in the middle of the night, Rhonda? Dang it, I was hoping that there was always somebody in there chatting.
At least one time we left it overnight. So don't be in a hurry. Be patient.
Yeah, I finally took my rings off for this one. I was tired of them gouging the paint.
Parchment, but you're not prepared to go straight into white. Unbleached titanium will be fine. The difference between unbleached titanium and parchment is that parchment is ever so slightly cooler.
We do have quite a few people who are international here on Patreon. Yeah, so I'm surprised that there's not more people chatting at night, like in the US night.
You're going to have to mix up 4 colors together at least to get parchment, and that's going to be a thing. So if you don't have any of them, just use whatever you choose.
Well, and I do use some, I just bought some Utrecht paints, so I do use the Liquitex and the Utrecht paint, and you can mix them. There's, yeah, as long as they're both acrylic, there's no need to worry about that.
Don't use all of the colors. And don't use all transparent colors. Use a little bit of gold. Just back to my
It's 2:30 in the morning there. Oh man, you should go to bed. You can watch this. You can watch the replay. I mean, we love having you here, but sleep is important. So I don't know if you guys noticed in this video, but there's a little spot where it kind of jumps ahead a bit. And if you pay attention, then you'll be like, hey, how did that change color? Somehow when I was editing it, I just accidentally cut out a segment. I don't think it was any more than maybe 2.5 minutes long. Not a big segment, but I was like, oh, I hope nobody notices that. And then like, what did you use? What did you do? Nobody seemed to notice it though, but I'll point it out to you when it happens. How funny, Debbie. Debbie just mentioned the exact same thing that I was just mentioning. Yep, that was the bit that was missing. That's good, Debbie. Nobody else, I don't think anybody else noticed. Nobody else said anything anyway. But yeah, I was done editing and I went, hey, what happened there? But it was pretty much what you just saw me do there. Same exact thing, I just used yellow oxide. That transparent raw umber is now my very favorite brown. I barely touch any other color except for that one. Like I don't use burnt sienna hardly, or burnt umber hardly at all. I use a little burnt sienna because I really like to mix it with the like turquoise and stuff. But other than that, I'm on team transparent raw umber right now. Mickey noticed it too. You used a brush for the painting, Wellen? That's perfectly fine. Hello, Janice. Yeah, that raw umber is so beautiful, especially for the layering. How it can really take colors that are too aggressive, too bright and vibrant, and just knock them down, but keep them, you know, it keeps them from changing too much. Just mutes them and kind of neutralizes them a little bit. So those of you who were in the watercolor event yesterday, you can see my penchant for vignettes again in this one. It's the whole thing. It's very vignetted with the dark corners and the bright in the center. Nice, Janice. You're going to love that transparent raw umber. Yeah, Lindsay, there is opaque and transparent raw umber in Liquitex anyway. They make a transparent one. And then the one that doesn't say transparent is opaque. You can see here right under my face, right here, some Utrecht paints. And the reason I bought those is because the Utrecht paint, it's a little bit of a cheaper brand of paint, but the consistency is very gel-like. They've got a really nice consistency that's very smooth for this kind of painting, but also their browns are a little more transparent than the Liquitex ones. So that's why I bought a few of those. What is happening here? Did you guys lose the video for a second? I lost it. You're welcome. Yeah, they make, Liquitex anyway makes their whole range of browns in a transparent version. So I've got the transparent burnt sienna, raw umber. I don't know if I have burnt umber. I think I do because I have 4 of them.
All right, I was terrified in this part. This is cadmium red light. No,
It looked like an oil painting. I think that that's probably because of the layers being spread so thin. It causes a lot of glow, which is something that can be hard to achieve in acrylic painting, but in oil paint, there's naturally a lot of glow through. And so, yeah, I just think it has to do with the thinness of the layers and, you know, the build up, layer upon layer upon layer. Oh no, Lindsay, did you try and use the regular raw umber and it wasn't working out? Yeah, the transparent one will be a miracle worker for you. I do the quinacridone burnt orange. It is an incredible color and it's quite transparent. I was actually messing with it a little bit today. It's a color I have really been wanting to use in one of these paintings and just haven't found an opportunity for it. So I used it a little bit today, but yeah, that transparent or the quinacridone burnt orange is an incredible color. I think I thought about using it in this one, but I didn't because at this point I needed the opaque color. So that's why I went with the Cad Red Light here. But again, it's the cadmium free version. Yeah, Tammy, I've noticed that. Like Payne's Gray, it says opaque, but it's not really opaque. I would say at best, Payne's Gray is translucent. Yeah, you just kind of have to know. Ooh, Mickey, I bet that was beautiful. I'd love to see that. Yeah, Esge, I would definitely get Quinn Burnt Orange. It's gorgeous. And it's so much fun to mix with. Like if you have the Quinn Burnt Orange and you're wondering what it does good at, it does good mixing. I challenge you to mix it with purple, mix it with phthalo green. Oh, it does beautiful things. How big did I grid the rows? Well, I did a 12 by 16, so I probably did a 1-inch grid. I mean, it depends. You know, if you're going to go smaller than that, I'd probably do like a 1/2-inch grid. If you're going to go bigger than that, you might be able to get away with a 2-inch grid. It's just going to depend on how big your canvas is going to be. Yeah, Deb, I think it was you or Gretchen who got us all hooked on Quinn Burnt Orange, wasn't it? I think I remember your Quinn Burnt Orange color chart, Deb. It's a magical color, that's for sure. Oh yeah, looks like we already jumped past the part with the yellow oxide. You can see that yellow oxide down there in the grass a bit. I'm pretty sure that segment that is missing is no longer than 2 minutes and probably not even that long. Remember when we were doing our color theory talks and I was telling you that, you know, whether a color is warm or cool or looks this way or that way, that a lot of that has to do with context, you know, what colors it's next to. So you can kind of see that here, that kind of minty color that I put on the background, it's starting to look more blue. It looks like blue sky poking through, and that's because it's next to, you know, kind of the very hot colors. So the blue is standing out a little bit more. So sometimes, you know, if you want a blue sky, maybe you don't want to use blue to make it look blue. Maybe you want to use purple or green, something that has some blue in it but isn't, you know, by definition blue. Just let it be contextually blue. All right, guys, you heard Esge. Start posting your Quinn Burnt Orange stuff on Discord. It's going to be a Quinn Burnt Orange parade. Thank you so much, Wellen. Yeah, I would love to see what you do with that. And if you're not on Discord, you should get onto our Discord channel. I'll post the information again tonight for anybody who hasn't joined. It's Discord is it's been so much fun. I can't even imagine not having it anymore. I don't know how we got along so long without it. That's okay, Deb. Do it. Yep, Discord. So it's a private, like a chat room type area for us. You can post pictures and just chat, and yeah, it's super fun. So the yellow oxide is one you have to be a little careful with. I mean, all of them, you need to know when you're doing this, which one are your opaque and which ones are your transparent colors. So, if you're buying a color, make sure you read the tube to see which one it is. But then also experiment with them and find out, is it truly opaque or is it more translucent, like Payne's Gray, like we were talking about. Yellow oxide is quite opaque. So if you're wanting to kind of create a glow, yellow oxide might not be the best option all of the time because it's also going to cover everything you put it on top of unless you spread it super, super, super thin. So just know the properties of the paint before you do it. Bye, Wellen. Thanks for hanging out. It was nice chatting with you. What did I use the Quin Burnt Orange on? I think I used it on the moon, on the gold canvas. Didn't I do that? Kim asked if I found myself washing my hands much. It really depended on what color I was transitioning to. Like here where I'm using the brown on top of the red. If I had red on my hand, I probably didn't wash it. But I just keep a wet towel on my easel. And then, when I want, I just pick it up and just wipe. And it pretty much comes right off. Oh, the koi fish. That's right. I used it in the koi fish too. I'm pretty sure I used it in the gold canvas, the moon with the raven, but I did use it in the koi fish too. Oh, I gotta show you guys real quick. You can just see it. Look, where is it? Where is it? Right there. My mom bought me a new easel. Isn't that sweet? It's an awesome wood one. It's so much sturdier than the metal one that I was using. And you can see right there, see this dark right here where my finger is? That's my towel. So I just keep that towel wet. And right here, because I don't have a sink in my studio, it's just around the corner, I fill this bucket and then I have water with me all the time. So I just dunk my towel in there, wring it out, and then I can just wipe my hands when they get too overloaded with paint. So if you're concerned about, gunking up your hands, that could be an easy thing for you. Yeah, so the water, it's just around the corner. It's not that far. So I just fill up my bucket every day or so and bring it in here and have water whenever I need it. Yeah, exactly, Rhonda. I don't need to stand on it anymore. So my metal one, I either had to put my foot on it. If those of you at the retreat, you probably saw that I had my foot on my easel as I was painting, because otherwise it escapes. Or I have like a gallon of gesso and I would have to like wedge it down in there to keep it from moving, but this one doesn't do that. So this easel's cool though, because the top of it, it'll lay down, or I can like move it forward. So if I'm taking pictures and I need to try and cut the glare from the ceiling, I can tilt it toward me so it cuts the glare, or I can lay it back if I'm, doing stuff that I don't want paint to run on. So it's really cool. I'm liking it. I think that some metallic paint in this, or in this painting or in something similar, would be gorgeous. Yeah. And the metallic paints are fun to use with this. I've been experimenting with it a bit because even if they say opaque, once you smooth it down all the way, it is not opaque, but it just lends this shimmer to everything that is really, really beautiful. So yeah, I encourage you to experiment with the metallic paints. Also, those of you who have those metallic powders that we used a while back, you could always just dunk your finger into those. You wouldn't even really need any medium or water. Just dunk your finger into those powders, those metallic powders, and burnish them on and get a little bit of an extra sparkly. Yep, even if they say opaque, they are pretty transparent. Those of you in the conversation about dumping paint down the sink, I know that technically that's, not environmentally great. I don't know what else to do with it. So that's what I do. For those of you concerned about the paint settling in the pipes, what I do is I run the water hot. I run the water and, let it fill up the pipes. And then I dump and I keep the water running, maybe squirt some soap down, and I keep the water running for a little while I rinse everything and do everything else. Never just dump it into the sink and then let it sit, because yeah, it will absolutely just start building up in your pipes. Flush the pipes with water first, flush the pipes with water after, hot water, maybe a little bit of soap. Yeah, dump it out in your backyard, sure. Hello, Tan. Oh, are you at work? I know it's Monday morning for you, isn't it? Oh, that's an interesting idea, Sherelle. So she puts it in Ziploc bags and freezes it and then throws it in the garbage on garbage day. That's an interesting idea. Let's jump ahead just a little bit here. There we go. We'll start working on the path. Lindsay, we all type weird and misspell things, so you're in good company. Thank you. Yeah, the path was, I really had no idea what I was going to do here, but I was kind of on a path kick. So this is the third one actually that I did with a path in it like that. Pretty much the same composition too, but the path is, fairly easy to do, but also nice and dramatic. So I figured it would be a good one to do for the video. So the powders, we used it quite a while ago. Sometime in the last year. They're the Fine Tech Pearl X powders. You can just get them at a craft store. They come in a little pod like this. I don't think I have mine here. No, they're just in a little pod. It almost looks like powdered eyeshadow, but it's not. Don't put it in your eyes. And you can use those with watercolor. You can use them with acrylic. You can mix them into your paint or into medium. Or you can just rub them on with your hands. Hello, Dina. I was wondering where you are. I haven't seen you forever. Asen, I don't know if it can be recycled. I know I struggle with myself on this one too. Trust me, I do. And I've tried to do some research about different ways to, like ecologically dispose of acrylic paint water, and everything's like, oh, build this huge contraption and let it evaporate and put fans on it to let it evaporate. And I'm like, I go through a lot of water in a day sometimes. That's just, I would need like an Olympic-sized swimming pool to let my paint water evaporate. So, maybe that's something that we can work on together as a team, is figuring out a way to dispose of paint water that doesn't involve putting it back into the water system. Yeah, I'm down for that. Let's start tossing around ideas. Yeah, they've got some mica in them, those powders. Yeah. Well, Dina, I'm glad you could make it in today. We've missed you. I didn't know Inktense makes metallic pencils too. Wow. Yeah, Kim, you can put it in kitty litter, but then again, like people like me, I would go through, oh man, I would go through so much kitty litter in a day. And that's just, you know, and then I wonder what exactly is the environmental impact of kitty litter? Is kitty litter toxic or dangerous in some way too? I don't know, but cost wise, not to mention bulk wise, and then disposing of the kitty litter, that it would be a nightmare. I'm open for trying it though, but yeah. One thing that I kind of had an idea to do is to get some of that quick set cement that you just mix water into, and maybe taking the paint water and pouring it into the quick set cement, and you could like mold it and whatever, and like build a little garden path or something with the cement that would have fun little colors in it from painting. But again, I would be building a house with quick set cement blocks. But that's another idea too. Charcoal filtering tray. I'm not sure that I know what that is, Lindsay. So you guys, I'm interested in this charcoal idea that you have. So maybe we can have a conversation about that somewhere where, we can put kind of our little thinking caps on and, spend some time discussing that. I know, Gretchen, I try not to think about all of the paint water I've dumped down the sink, and it makes me feel bad, and at the same time I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. Yeah, Kim, and at my house that would be a good solution too, just to dump it in my yard somewhere. I don't have that option here. Lindsay mentioned activated charcoal with coffee filters, and I did actually try and use a coffee filter, but the paint particles, it just clogged up I couldn't even pour a jar through it, and I let it sit like all night, and the coffee filter was still full the next morning. So yeah, the coffee filter didn't work out great for me. Welcome, Shirley. You're right, better late than never. Oh, and Diane, too. Hello. And anybody else that I missed? Yeah, Cheryl, it could have just been the coffee filters that I purchased. Maybe there's different kinds. There's, the cheaper ones are a little bit more flimsy. Maybe that would work better. I don't know. Yeah, charcoal on like a mesh tray. Pat, that could be a good idea. Kim, I agree with you. I think that the paint manufacturer company should give some kind of idea too. And actually, Golden does, but again, it's one of those things that's like, build this huge contraption and use this chemical or whatever. And I was like, oh, my head is spinning just reading this. But I think that we can come up with something that's simple and, works well, because there's got to be a way. I really like this charcoal idea. The kitty litter idea, maybe there can be something mixing those, or the little bricks like we were talking about with the quick set cement. Hello, Carolyn, welcome. Yeah, Barbara, we were kind of talking about that, the whole evaporation thing. And I think for a lot of people, that would really work. For someone like me, where I go through a lot, it doesn't really work. But yeah, if you find that you're using like a jar of water every couple of days, that might be a super good option for you. Dina, yeah, at the beginning of the video, I show how I did that. I just used a mix of modeling paste and gesso and just kind of spread it on with a scrap of cardboard and smoothed it out a little bit with a palette knife.
Taking some of that paint off and pushing it into other places. I'm going to do the same thing around this side.
I'm glad you like it. I'm really digging this. I've started posting some images to Discord as soon as I get them edited. I'm a little behind because I took a bunch of pictures and most of them looked like junk because I'm a terrible photographer. But eventually I'll get you a picture of everything on my wall here that I did in this exact same way. Nice, Carolyn. Yeah, I thought about crackle paste. I used to have some, but it dries out really quick if you don't use it. At least the golden one does. And that's what I had. But yeah, I'd be interested in trying the crackle paste with this too and seeing how that works out. Yes, I did, Rhonda. Thanks for noticing. I did say a crap of cardboard. I don't think you went wrong at all, Lindsay. You may have done things different, but that's not wrong.
Shapes that are a little less smoothed out, because that part is going to be quite close to us. So there might be a little bit more texture in the foliage that's growing. Same thing on this side, just working in a smaller section, but the paint's gray.
Uh-oh, we lost Gretchen. She's shopping. How many other people are going right now to put crackle paste in their cart? Nice, Barbara. Yeah, I've been wiping my brushes on a towel a lot too. Uh-oh, we just lost Lindsay. Oh, Gretchen, you're so sweet. She never ditches me for a cart, unlike Michelle, who's not even here right now, so she can't stick up for herself. If Michelle were here, she would have ditched me to go put the crackle paste in her cart right now. How did you use the damp paper towel, Debbie? to like move paint around or lift paint or what? Let's hear your question, Christine. Excellent, Carolyn. Christine, I had no idea what this was going to be. That's how I did all of them, is just kind of following it. And, if I swiped my hand one way and it looked like, how you see rain coming out of a cloud at a distance, and it kind of looked like that, then I might chase that and try and pull that out of it. But if it changed and I didn't see that anymore, then I just went with it, and, it became what it became. That's right, Sharon. So I packaged everything today, but because it's Sunday, the mail's not running, but I'll be dropping everything off tomorrow morning. I was a little behind on brush orders. Sorry, guys. And I think at least a couple of you may have gotten a refund from me today because somehow my number 8 rounds got oversold. I don't have any more, but a few people bought them still, and I was like, how did that happen? So a few people got refunds. Yeah, Pat, you could dip your fingers into matte medium instead of, well, I don't think I would say you can do it instead of misting with the water because the matte medium, it's not as thin as water, so it's different. The matte medium will make the paint, it's different. It's not the same as using water. It's not the same as not using anything. It's really kind of its own thing. So I do encourage you to experiment with that. See what you think if you pick up matte medium in the paint, and it'll give you some little textures that you're not getting from just using the paint or from just using the water. So occasionally I do experiment with using some matte medium, but a lot of times I don't because the matte medium doesn't make the paint any easier to move. I know the shipping and tax for international orders on the brushes is kind of high, and I apologize. I'm so glad you guys love the brushes. Yeah, I was kind of stressed out there trying to get everything ready for the opening, and then it's over now, so I can kind of settle back into just a nice smooth routine, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Thank you, Pat. I appreciate that. I've actually had a lot of people say it reminds them of Turner, and I absolutely love Turner, so I'm totally good with that. I did have one friend, thankfully it was a friend, who said it reminded them of Thomas Kincaid, and I told her she had to take that back or we weren't friends anymore. Not a huge Kincaid fan. There's very few artists that I'll openly say I don't like their work, but that's one of them. Yep, you can use the brushes and oil also. Yep. Yeah, I do want to get that fan brush made. Like I said, because of the opening, I just didn't have a lot of time to really stop and think through anything. And I don't want to just put one single brush into production. I'd like to get at least 2 going at the same time. So if I'm going to do that one, I have to decide what else I'm going to do with it. So that's kind of where I am right now. Oh, good. I'm so glad you guys are with me on the Kincaid thing. Thank you, Christine. I really am. I love the studio. I love being here. I'm here every single day, and yeah, it's working out for me better than I could have hoped. Hello, Lori. Welcome. My phone is yelling at me that it's dying, so I better charge it so I can get a ride home tonight. um, so Debbie asked why I don't like Kincaid. There's a lot of reasons. First of all, it's just not my style. I don't care for it. It seems very like sticky sweet. His assembly line production doesn't appeal to me, but yeah. No, Lindsay. Everybody's got their own taste, and if you don't like detail or if you don't like abstract, that's just, you know, part of who you are, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think I'd do another size of cloud brush, and certainly not another size of angle brush. I don't know. I have a couple other brushes that I've been thinking about putting into production, so I just need to kind of nail it down. One of them that I'm looking at is like a nice fat rigger brush, so very, very long, very, very straight, but you know, substantially fatter than like a long liner. I'm sure he doesn't miss me all that much. He's probably glad that that I have a reason to get out of the house now. Lori, yeah, I actually tried to respond to you on Discord yesterday, I think, but Discord was giving me an error, not letting my comments go through. So she said she bought an ampersand super smooth board and she's having a hard time with blending. So I'm guessing, I've never used one of those ampersand boards, but I've seen them and they look to me like they might be a little absorbent. So maybe it's making your paint dry super fast. So I would use just a little extra water or try and use some matte medium. If it's not that, if it just feels like it's like sliding around and you're getting a lot of brush marks, then maybe you just need to move to a softer brush. The firm brushes are going to be better for heavy texture canvas. So a really soft brush might be good for the super smooth one if that's what the issue is, if it's not drying too fast. No mop brush. I don't think I've ever even touched a mop brush, so I can promise that I'm not putting a mop brush into production anytime soon.
Hopefully in a minute you can see what I was aiming for, because I know that that hazed out effect was not pleasing.
Yeah, I've been using my number 0 a lot lately. I haven't, it's not one I've really used much of, but lately I've been using my number 2 and my number 0 quite a bit painting like this, because really the only time I'm using them is to do little details. So it's really the only time I'm using brushes besides my 1-inch. So yeah, my number 0 has gotten it's gotten a little bit of a workout lately. Yeah, Lori, if it's showing brush marks like that, I'm going to guess just try a softer brush. See how that does. Also, you could always just put a thin coat of gesso on it, and maybe that will texture it just enough so that you have an easier time blending. You're welcome. Yeah, Tammy, sometimes I wonder what famous painters like masters may have used fingers too, because you see some of them and everything is so smeary and you're like, there's no way that a brush did that. So they've got to be like maybe using a rag or, you know, whatever. Thanks for stopping by, Lori. It was good to see you. Gretchen, you still haven't made friends with the long liner, huh? No, Mickey, I wouldn't put gesso over top of your paint. I mean, unless you're wanting to, paint it out to get rid of it. So I just meant on her board to maybe put down a thin layer of gesso and then paint on top of it. Oh, get some rest, Deb. Thanks for hanging out with us. Oh, with Felix, yeah. Yeah, Felix uses a mop quite a bit. I watch him use that mop and I'm like, I could never do that. I don't get it. But I feel like I'm pretty good at blending without it, so it's okay. I don't feel like I need it. That's all right, Barbara. Yeah, the past events are there for you to watch anytime you like. Oh, looks like we're about done. Oh yeah, this is the next day.
This is pure white. I'm using a very, very small amount of it. And really only
Let's jump to where I started using the brush, because that's a little different than everything else. So just a little bit of the paint and just sketching. I'm not trying to make like grass. I'm just sketching up and down like this, and where the brush touches, great, and where it doesn't, great. How are you liking your trip in the States, eh, son? Sounds like Nashville is interesting.
just mixing right into some things gray. Not coming back in the brush. So
Yeah, Mickey, when I do the sketching like this, I have to use a little bit of extra water to make the paints a bit thinner. Otherwise, they're thick and they don't go very far. It's hard to get a single brush stroke out of them. So, yeah, I thinned it down just a little bit. Not a ton, but, just put a little extra water in my brush. So my mom posted her painting over on Discord, it sounds like. Turned out pretty dang good. I was very proud. Tammy, sometimes with heavy body paints anyway, matte medium doesn't really thin the paint down enough to be able to do delicate brush work like this.
again, real specific.
So I find myself using water, like there, I dipped into some water. So matte medium, I use more for blending and transparency. But to get the paint to move farther, you really have to use water. Or soft body paint. Soft body paint is really, really helpful with that too. Yeah, the Liquitex Basics are a little bit easier to get fine details out of than the heavy bodies sometimes, because they're, the consistency is much thinner. And honestly, for the most part, I do prefer the consistency of the Basics paint over the heavy body. It's just I prefer the pigment load and the colors in heavy body to Basics. But there's a few paints that I still use in Basics, like titanium white, Mars black, simply because usually those are the colors I'm trying to do fine details with. And so it's just easier to use them in a medium that's already a little bit thinner. No, matte medium and glazing medium are different. Glazing medium it's going to dry much faster. The matte medium I find makes paint much smoother. It kind of extends the drying time a little bit. So the glazing medium I haven't had good luck with trying to blend with. It just ends up drying and getting sticky. So yeah, right here I'm using the water to thin that down. When I start doing the tree branches, I do use a little bit of water because I still want to get, you know, a longer swipe of paint. But see, I do use a little bit of matte medium too to really make the tree branches transparent. So that's why here I'm using matte medium, but I didn't in the grass.
Again, if it's too solid, if I don't like it, or a little extra matte medium or water.
Yeah, the glazing medium is also really shiny, and I like a matte finish. Except, guys, I used a matte varnish on these. I sprayed them with a matte varnish, and I've never felt like matte varnish took away the life out of a painting before, but I've never really done paintings with, you know, thin layers, one right on top of the other before, and I feel like the matte did take some life out of these, so I think I'm actually going to get some gloss varnish and do that, see if I can get a little bit of that back. Yeah, Rhonda, you're really only going to get, you know, I mean, acrylic paint, it dries fast. It really doesn't matter, you know, you can use retarders, you can use, you know, all of the tricks in the book, but ultimately it's going to dry fast. And if it doesn't dry fast, you've probably underbound it and it's too thin. So really it's about finding the technique that works the best for you and then learning how to work within the kind of range of time that it dries in. And I think after, you know, some practice and some trial and error, you eventually find what works for you. So matte medium works for me, and I feel like I have a good enough grasp with blending that I can do it quick enough that drying time's not even an issue anymore. I've also learned tricks to make it appear blended, even if it's not, like one layer was already dry. So after some experience and, you know, trial and error, you can figure those kinds of things out. So just don't let it get you frustrated. The more you work at it, you'll figure out your personal trick to working within that drying time.
This color is a mix between the Payne's Gray and raw umber, but it has so much matte medium in it that it's very, very transparent.
Using string gel to varnish a painting? I can't imagine that that would be very easy to do, because the string gel is exactly what it sounds like. It's strings.
Marks on the path that are going to suggest more highlights.
Yeah, you can mix gloss and matte varnish to get satin. You can buy it, but you can also mix them. That's right, Rhonda. Trial and error, that's exactly how we learn. Oh, hello, Shirley. I don't think I saw you there, but hello.
It's catching a lot of light from that background light source.
I like how once I started doing these grasses, you know, with the very vertical and then a few horizontal swipes on the path, all of that really helped to push the path flat. So remember, just like everything else, if you want something to appear brighter, put it next to something darker. If you want something to appear darker, put it next to something brighter. If you want something to appear flat, put it next to something that's standing up and down, and vice versa. So just always be thinking, you know, of the contrast to what you want. I want this light. All right, let's put dark by it. I want this to lay flat. Let's put something vertical next to it. On Friday night, Sydney came and Rhiannon came, and I actually had quite a few people come, but I think those are the only two from Patreon. There was a guy and his family, and they were so cute. He didn't even know that I was in the state, let alone here. He's walking through the hall and sees my little painting with Jane sign, and he was like, oh. So they came in and we talked for a while, and that was really fun. Thank you, Debbie. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I was really happy with the path and how, you know, otherwise the whole painting would just be kind of like a blurred together thing, but because we have one thing with very solid, identifiable elements, how it kind of helps give it a little bit of context to everything else. Oh, Gretchen, Vince posted on our personal pages on Facebook, but he made it public. So if you just like cyber stalk us on Facebook, you'll see them. Oh, Sydney is Rhiannon. Sydney, why do you have the name Rhiannon here on YouTube? Somebody else came. Now I feel bad. I can't think of... I'm so bad with names, and the night was just like this. I'm horrible. If you're watching this and it was you, please know that I'm not really a jerk. I'm just really bad with names. Really bad with names. Okay, so who here still doesn't believe me when I say don't put acrylic paintings behind glass? Who still thinks I can put my acrylic painting behind glass? I'm not going to listen. I know there's always somebody. It's like, I do it, it's fine. That's right, Pat. I am always right. I'm not always right. But don't put acrylic paintings behind glass. Thank you. Lots of I believes. Yeah. Gretchen, I know I was like, now I'm going to acquire a bunch of glass. But the glass artist down here, I'm like, do you want it? She's like, yes. So I give her all the sheets of glass that come out of the frame. So it's a nice way that I can get rid of them without having to throw them in the garbage or without cutting myself and keeping a big stack of glass. No, Barbara, no. Even if it's matted, even if it's in a floater frame, do not put acrylic behind glass. First of all, there's zero reason to. The glass isn't going to offer any protection that, you know, it's not going to offer any more protection. Acrylic painting just doesn't need the protection. If it gets all dusty and everything, you can just take a damp cloth and wipe it down. Because acrylic paint is essentially plastic, if you put it behind glass, even if it's not touching, it could possibly create a fairly airtight, you know, chamber in there, and that's the perfect place for mold to grow. Acrylic paint off gases because it's plastic, and you can get a film that grows onto or you know, kind of collects on the glass. There's no reason to put acrylic behind glass and every reason not to. So I never put acrylic behind glass. Watercolor, put it behind glass. Absolutely. Pastel, all of those, put it behind glass. But oil, acrylic, don't do it. Oh no, Christine bought a frame and the plastic glass plexi is stuck in the frame. Dang it. Well, you know what you can do with that, Christine? Just gesso the whole thing, the plastic or glass, whatever, the frame, and then paint the image on top of it, including the frame, paint onto the frame. My friend Will that I painted the crystal with, he does that sometimes. He'll go buy like secondhand paintings with a cool frame and gesso the entire thing, frame and all, and paint and include the frame in the painting. It looks really cool. Hello, Kathy. I didn't see you there before. Yeah, Gretchen, that's another reason. The glass will kind of reflect light and then you can't even see your painting. Yeah, it really is a cool idea. I've seen some really neat things that he's done with that, you know, including the frame into it. Exactly, Gretchen. That's something you can do with those glass pieces, is use the pouring medium to do some little stained glass things. What else do you guys have? Do you have any other questions? I can't believe we didn't do any demos today. I thought you guys would be all about that. Yep, Pat, that's what I do. Use it as a palette. Tape a piece of cardboard or something on the bottom. Just put some tape all the way around the edges and use the sheet of glass as a palette. I do need a day off. I'm actually taking a day off. I'm going to take a day off on Wednesday. I have things tomorrow and Tuesday. So Wednesday is going to be my day off. I'm not going to be online. I'm not going to come here. We're going to watch movies and cook all day and just, yeah, that's Wednesday. Yay, Gretchen, a freehand moon. I told you could do it. I believe in you. All right, folks, then I'm going to take off. I'm going to go home and get some dinner because my belly says it's... What time does my belly say it is? 4:30? What? I have no idea. I don't even know what time it was yesterday at this time. But anyway, my belly says it's time for dinner. So I love all of you guys so, so much. You all know that. And I will see you on Discord, and I'll post all of the Discord and discount information as soon as I get home tonight. Love you guys so much. Bye.